Guys, it is very, very possible to ruin your physique when bulking the wrong way. This is not clickbait. This is facts. And now, I want to start this video though by saying that I'm not a bulk hater. I see and understand the importance of bulking. At the end of the day, it is the muscle that makes the physique pop. It is not the lean. The lean is just a way to make our bodies better at building muscle and revealing the muscle. But the ability to build muscle and just focus on that, go in the gym daily and know, yo, I'm gonna grow today. I'm gonna try and improve today. That is a privilege. It has to be earned. And it is critical to making your physique look good. So the bulk is not an issue. That's not what I'm saying. But I think the connotations and the things that people associate with a bulk are the problem. And so in this video, I'm actually going to be using the word growth phase so that you don't think about bulk in the traditional sense of just eating whatever you want. I'm going to call it a growth phase. So why is it such a privilege and an honor to be able to undergo a growth phase? Well, you have to earn it, right? Not everyone that comes to me as a client and says, yo, I want to put on muscle, I want to start a growth phase. Not everyone is going to be able to get the green light for me to go, because there are certain criteria you have to meet to be able to do an efficient growth phase for it to not ruin your physique, like I said. And one of those criteria is that you have to be lean. Now, if you followed my Instagram at Really Strong recently, you'll see that I've been talking a lot about how lean is not law, how being lean should not be the end goal. It's not the ultimate priority in the gym. But I do preface that often by saying that getting lean is still very important, but only because it allows you to put on more muscle. It allows you to undergo a growth phase with confidence. You see, when you're trying to grow muscle, right, we have to understand that when you put on muscle, you are always, no matter what you do, going to put on some body fat. So let's say someone starts really lean. They start at 10% body fat, right? Now, they are going to gain muscle, right? And as they gain muscle, this is the muscle line going up here, they're also going to gain fat at the same time. Now, someone that does a dirty bulk, that means they're eating like trash. They're eating way too much food, way more food than they need to. Their muscle gain is going to go like this, right? Same rate, but their fat gain is going to go like this. And so at the end of the process, they actually gained more fat than they did muscle. And so the thing is that someone else could do a growth phase and do it properly, a lean bulk, a lean growth phase. And their rate of muscle gain is going to be almost the same, right? The amount of food that the other person was eating is not going to give them a huge advantage in muscle building, but their fat is going to be like this. And so at the end of it, person B has the same amount of muscle as person A, but way less fat. And so what does that mean? Obviously, aesthetically, they look a lot better than person A because you can see the muscle. The fat is not covering it. And B, this is the key. This is why it's earned. The more fat you have in your body, the less efficient your body is at building muscle. And so person A, yeah, they might have been getting muscle at the same rate as person B, but because their fat went up so fast, their bulk has to end because they're now too fat. And so they gain so much fat that their body is less efficient at building muscle. And that is all about insulin. Like, I don't want to turn it into a science lesson, but I have an analogy for you guys to understand this process. Insulin is a guy, right? Insulin is like you and I, and insulin likes skinny girls. So when skinny girls hit him up, he's more efficient at responding to them. When a skinny girl hits him up, he's like, yo, let me respond to this girl. But he doesn't like fat chicks. So when a fat chick hits him up, he is way less efficient at responding. And that's how insulin works in our body. When you are a lean guy, skinny girl, lean guy, insulin responds faster to you. It builds muscle more efficiently for you. But when you have higher body fat, when you're a fat chick, insulin doesn't respond as well to you. And so going back to my initial point, if you decide to start a growth phase, but you're already fat, you cannot expect to put on muscle efficiently. And that was one of the mistakes I was making. I was never getting lean enough to the point where my bulks lasted long enough. I didn't have the runway to put on a little bit of fat and still be efficient. And so do not start a bulk, a growth phase, if you are above 12% body fat. Now, between 12 and like 15 is acceptable, but 12% body fat should be your baseline. Once you get at 12, that means that you can see a faint outline of your abs. You don't really have any love handles. Your face should be lean. You should be able to see, some striations in your body. Not striations, but some definition, I mean. That is the minimum stage you should be leanness to start a growth phase. Below that, even better. If you're 10%, you're gonna be great. You're gonna gain so much muscle and barely any fat. But if you're above 12%, especially if you're above 18, do not even think about gaining muscle. I've done it in the past, right? I'll show you a picture. Here I was around 18%, no, probably like 17, 18% body fat. And I thought it would be smart for me to bulk. What did I do? The bulk ended in like a month or two. I gained minimal muscle and just gained a lot more fat. And then when I had to now lose it, it took me so much longer. So the first reason why you could mess up your bulk is not understanding that it is a privilege that you have to earn by getting lean enough first, okay? Now, let's say that you already are lean enough, right? You're lean, you're 12%-ish, 10%, 11%, and you've earned the right to bulk or do a growth phase. The second mistake you can make is not understanding what exactly drives muscle building. You see, a lot of people think they have this old school mentality that you have to eat big to get big, right? And it's true to an extent. But the thing is that if that really were the driver, you could just sit at home and just eat food and gain muscle. But that doesn't happen. And the reason why it doesn't happen is that muscle is not built through food. It is built through mechanical tension. It is built through your muscle's ability to move weight from point A to point B. And so a key here is that you need to understand that food has to just be viewed as a tool to allow you to push at the gym. Okay, so you start a bulk, right? You're a growth phase, you're at 12% body fat, and you're just eating the amount of calories that you were at that 12%. Let's say that for you to maintain 12% body fat, you have to eat 2,000 calories. When you now say, you know what, I want to start putting on muscle, don't add any food at the start. Don't add any food at the start. Go to the gym and see if you can progress, right? Train the right way. Check my page, you'll see a video about how 2 sets to failure transform our physique. That style of training for progression, training to get better week to week, to lift more weight, to do more reps, to improve your form week to week on the same movements, going to failure between 5 to 15 reps. If you do that at your maintenance calories, you will get stronger. Eventually, like always, you will stop getting stronger. You will find like you don't have the energy, you're not progressing, you can't push more. That is when you start to increase your food. And you're only going to increase one thing, your carbs. Your protein and your fat stay the same. All you're going to do is increase your carbs throughout the bulk. That's it, right? The carbs are what give you the energy because, again, you're understanding that it is the mechanical tension and the lifting of weight that builds the muscle. It's not the food. So you're only going to add more food when your strength and your performance plateaus, right? And notice how I have not talked about weight. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. So understanding that it is the mechanical tension, that builds the muscle, not the food, is a key here. That will prevent you from dirty bulking and wrecking your insulin sensitivity. You see, in the past, what I would do is, for some reason, I had this idea that I was Superman. I had the ultimate genetics, and I could just eat whatever. And as long as the calories were adding up, I would make progress. And so I was kind of counting my calories. I was still hitting that amount of food I need to eat, but it was coming from everywhere. Some days it was coming from a bunch of fat. I was eating fast food. Another day I was eating too much protein and not enough carbs. But on all these days, I was eating around the same amount of calories, but the composition, what those calories were made of, was changing day to day. And so on one day, I had enough carbs to fuel my workouts and feel full and get good pumps, right? On another day, yes, I had the same amount of calories, but I had almost no carbs. And so my performance tanked and I had no consistent control or view over my progression in the gym. So it is the carbs that are the key to building muscle because it gives you the energy. Now, these carbs are not McDonald's fries. These carbs are not chips. It's not candy. No. We want whole foods. We want to be eating a lot of rice. We want to be eating a lot of sweet potato, even pasta, rice cakes, things like this. Things that are actually whole foods that are not going to lead your body to being inflamed and bloated, because the whole system in your body, if it's inflamed and bloated, that's going to affect your body's efficiency, right? We want to treat our bodies like machines. We want to give that shit high quality fuel to operate, right? So it is whole foods, and all the carb demonization, I swear, that is just to keep you small, right? It's people that are not knowledgeable, don't understand how the body works, that demonize carbs. Carbs, good carbs, are going to be the fuel that actually helps you bulk properly, okay? So, one, you have to earn the right to bulk. You have to get lean enough first so you have more runway to put on a little bit of body fat while putting on muscle and not wrecking your insulin sensitivity. The second thing we understand is that we need to understand that muscle is built by building strength and progressing in the gym, and not by food. Food is just a tool we use to break through plateaus when we can't push anymore in the gym. Now, another way that I in the past wrecked my bulk was not really understanding how the weight actually moves and changes during a growth phase. And when I say weight, I mean my own weight, the scale, when I'm weighing myself, right? You see, people don't realize how expensive and hard to build muscle is. Like, a natural lifter with the best genetics, the best diet plan, super consistent, all that. Let's say they're not a beginner anymore, so they're intermediate. That person could probably expect to put on about 7 pounds of muscle in a year, max. Like 7 pounds in a year. Okay, so let's just say it was 6 pounds, right? So that means you're putting on about half a pound of muscle a month, right? And so that means that per week, you're putting on about 0.125 pounds of muscle a week. And so in the past, when I would dirty bulk, I would check my weight across the week, and I was getting 2 pounds a week. And I was like, yeah, I'm getting big, because I was stupid. I didn't understand what's realistic and expected when gaining muscle. If you can really only gain 0.125 pounds of muscle a week as someone who has the best genetics, best diet plan, all that, then where is that 2 pounds on the scale coming from? Now, when you first start bulking or growth phase, yes, okay, some of the weight will be just glycogen filling up, your muscles filling up. That is good. But after that, if you're still gaining 2 pounds a week, you are gaining fat. You're gaining fat. And so that's why the scale should not be the main metric you use to judge your bulk success, because it's not going to go up that fast if you're doing it properly. It's going to go up by 0.2 pounds a week, 0.5 pounds a week, here and there. It's going to be slow, right? Relative to what most people expect. It's not going to be a 5 pound jump every week. If it is that, stop what you're doing immediately. You're getting fat, right? And that's what I did in the past. I would balloon up from like 230 to 260 in weeks, thinking that was huge because I looked bigger, but there was no muscle there, it was fat. And so that is why your weight, still track it daily, but the strength is the key. The strength is everything, because your strength is going to increase a lot faster than your weight on the scale. And so this is how we do it. Your strength's going up week to week. You're tracking your strength. You look at that number, right? How it's going up for different lifts. You can even tell if my bench press is going up, if my incline bench is going up. I can look at my chest, how my chest is looking. You know, you can kind of map the exercises to the muscle groups visually. And so the visuals, weekly pictures, weekly visuals, to make sure that what you're doing is not just building fat and you're building muscle, right? And then the third thing we look at is the scale. This is going to be the thing that changes probably the slowest along with the visuals. But if your strength is going up really fast and your weight on the scale is not going up super fast, it is a good sign that you are putting on muscle and not fat, right? We want our strength to be going up like this, and we want our weight to be going up like this, right? That is going to make life so much easier for you, because then when it comes down to cutting, it's not going to take you forever. Like, a lot of people, when they dirty bulk and they want to now cut after, it takes them so long to lose the fat that's covered in the muscle that they have to be in a deficit for so long. And so in that time, you are now risking losing muscle. The longer you are in a deficit for, the less likely you are to retain the muscle. So they do a crazy dirty bulk, gain so much fat and so much muscle, so much weight. And then in the process of getting to reveal the muscle, they lose all the muscle they built because they're losing weight for so long. They're in a deficit for so long that they lose the muscle. So what was the point of that? We want it to be slow. We want our strength to be what we're focusing on. We want to adjust our food based on our strength in the gym and not the weight on the scale. Okay? So do not cook your physique. Okay? Muscle is really important. It is very important for you to have more muscle. It allows you to eat more. It allows you to look better. It allows you to stay leaner without even trying. And so because it's so valuable, in the process of building it, we want to be sustainable and we want to be respectful of that tissue. We don't want to disrespect it by putting on a bunch of body fat and thinking we're Superman and gaining 2 pounds a week, right? We want to respect it by increasing our calories slowly, mainly, actually only through carbs, right? Tracking our strength, tracking our weight and our visuals, and trusting the process long term, okay? If you need help with this, setting up your own workout plan, programming, visuals, meals, all that, hit me up at Relay Strong on IG, or just hit the link in this description, and we can get chatting. All right, take care, guys.